your beliefs for a moment and my beliefs. The question, a guy who has literally 30 women that have accused him of for sexual assault, credible allegations that go way before he ever got into public office. Yes, he is a liable sexual abuser. Yes, he's had credible claims of young girls. Yes, the man who bragged about sexual assault, this is a man with a history and a pattern. It's not just about cheating on women. It's not just about paying somebody $130,000 in hush money, okay? The fact of the matter is that this man has a long list. My first prompt today is why I say Donald Trump is morally bankrupt. All right, thanks for coming. Obviously, I believe Donald Trump is morally bankrupt. Before I get into that, I want to get your take. What do you think about that? Do you agree with me that Trump is a morally bankrupt man?
Well, what's that mean?
Well, it means that, you know, we have 30 women that have accused him of sexual assault. When you're a 34-count felon, when your own ex-wife says that he raped her and then he pays her off to keep her mouth shut. This is a guy that is a swindler, whether we talk about Trump University or, you know, there's a number of different issues. We could talk about when Robert Mueller dies and he says, I'm happy he's dead. The comments he made about John McCain, for example. I know I'm throwing a lot at you and I probably have about 200 different things that I could mention. But the man has no moral compass. He only cares about himself. And I really don't know how anybody out there, especially the evangelical right, can support this man when you look at his actions. And yes, he is a liable sexual abuser, whether people want to admit that or not. He was found liable for sexually abusing E. Jean Carroll. He's cheated on every single woman he's ever been with, including his current wife, or contractual wife, I'd like to call her, Melania Trump, with Stormy Daniels. I mean, you're aware of that, right? He raw-dogged Stormy Daniels literally 2 weeks after Barron was born. I'm sorry if I'm being graphic, but I am. That is a morally bankrupt man who only cares about himself, and I don't know how anybody could defend that. You can try.
Well, if this is what you believe, you got that information from somewhere.
What do you mean believe, with respect? Is he not a liable sexual abuser, yes or no?
I don't believe so.
Okay, but what did a court say? What did a jury say? Let's forget about your beliefs for a moment and my beliefs. The question is Donald Trump a liable sexual abuser? If I asked you if O.J. Simpson, well, he's dead now, but if O.J. Simpson was a double murderer, you could say, I believe he probably committed those crimes, but a jury found him innocent. So my question is Donald Trump a liable sexual abuser?
I don't believe so.
Okay, but
I don't.
But I'm not asking you whether. I understand you don't believe E. Jean Carroll.
Well, I don't believe the court and the trials, as all my friends here will probably concur, were setups. That those weren't real trials.
What about What about the 30 women that have accused him of sexual assault? Are they all lying as well, including his ex-wife in court documents and a deposition?
I would need to see that.
You would need to see that. So how can you argue whether he's morally...
These are narratives in the news.
No, they're not narratives in the news. When you're found liable in a court of law, that's not a narrative. That's actually what happened. When Donald Trump says, I'm grabbing women by the pussy, that's not a narrative, sir, with all due respect. He said that. I've been in locker rooms my whole life. I was a Division I college athlete. I've never heard somebody talk like that about grabbing women by the pussy. That's not a narrative. It's not a narrative, okay? When a jury finds in a courtroom that they literally find him liable for abuse, the judge in the case characterized it as rape. I'm sorry, what was your name again?
Taylor.
Taylor. Okay.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Taylor. All right, Taylor. I believe Donald Trump is a morally bankrupt man. Why would you disagree?
I mean, like, why?
Okay, well, let me ask you a simple question about January 6th. If Donald Trump doesn't lie about the 2020 election, because we all know, and it's not even up for discussion, quite frankly, he did not win the 2020 election. There's no evidence of widespread voter fraud. If Donald Trump didn't lie about that, does January 6th happen? Yes or no?
Possibly. I mean, he literally
Possibly?
told them to leave.
Possibly. Okay, so let's go with that for a moment. So you're hold on.
Didn't he tell them to leave?
Hold on.
Did he not tell them to leave? Yes or no?
At 4 hours. Let me answer your question.
Yes or no?
Don't.
But
You got to let me answer your question.
Yes or no?
I'm going to answer.
You asked me a yes or no question. I'm going to ask you it back. Yes or no?
4 hours after it had started.
So yes.
4 hours after it started.
Can you just say yes?
4 hours after it started.
Like quit.
4
quit the LARP,
hours
okay?
after it started.
Yes or no?
If you saw a man raping a woman, and then 4 hours after you said, "Didn't you tell him to stop?" That's a fucking ridiculous thing you're saying.
Trump here and women?
Let me explain.
Are you referring to Trump?
You're
and women?
telling me.
But
hold on. Let's talk about January 6th. Hold on. Hold on. Let's start with January 6th. You're telling me that if Donald Trump did what every other president did in American history and conceded, like every other president, you're telling me January 6th still happens? I know you have that smirk on your face because you look ridiculous, okay? Tell me right now, look at me right now, and tell me right now in front of the cameras that January 6th still happens if Donald Trump concedes.
I don't think somebody that's ginger should be calling me ridiculous.
Just answer the
number one.
question. Answer
Number
the question.
Number two, though.
Answer the question.
Number two, it's probably
What do you mean
wouldn't
number
happen.
two? You
It
got to take a
possibly
shit?
wouldn't
Answer the
happen,
question.
actually. It
Answer the
actually
question.
probably wouldn't happen. But you brought up Trump's
Why
rape,
won't you answer that question?
But you brought up rape.
Answer my
and
question,
women.
dude. I'll answer yours, but you got to answer mine.
I said possibly.
Okay. So you're saying, okay, that's a very logical opinion. So if Donald Trump concedes and does what every other president does, you still think that people try to overthrow the outcome of a free and fair election. What do you think about police officers that were beaten on January 6th? Would you call them hostages and patriots?
Would you call police officers beat?
Don't answer a question.
BLM,
Don't
right?
answer a
Oh wait, what about David Dorn? The
I'll
police
answer
officer that was
BLM.
shot and
Hold on,
killed.
hold on.
The police officer,
Hold
the black
sir.
police officer
Okay.
that was shot and
This
killed.
is a microcosm of what Trump supporters do. I'm happy to answer any question about BLM, and I promise you I'll answer your question. But you are going to fucking answer my question first, okay?
I?
And if you're not going to
Oh
answer
my
it, then
God.
take a seat and let somebody else come up there.
Am I? Are you going to force
Do
me to
you
answer it?
think that if
You're
you
gonna
beat
force
a
me.
cop,
You're going to force
this
me.
isn't going to go well for you if you don't answer any of my questions.
Oh, really? I
Do you
bet, yeah.
think? Do you think that
A
if
beer
you
belly
beat
is
a
gonna go
cop,
well.
okay, you can attack me on my physical appearance. That's fine.
You attacked me on
okay?
my physical, and I'm just pointing out the obvious.
No, your smile. I didn't attack you on your physical appearance.
That smile
you
is
were
physical. Are you, like,
smirking.
retarded?
So answer my question, okay? Answer my question. Otherwise, we'll go to somebody else. Are
None
you
of
a
them are raising.
hostage?
Wow, they love the people
Are
love
you
me,
a
unlike you,
hostage?
actually.
Okay, I bet they do. Are you a hostage? Now, I don't think it's funny.
Am I a hostage? No, I'm not in
Okay.
Israel or Gaza. No, I don't.
Okay.
I'm not a hostage, actually.
We could either have a serious conversation
You
or we
asked me
can't.
if I was a hostage.
Okay, you're not.
Is that a dumb question?
No,
I know you're not a dumb
I'm
guy.
repeating the question
Okay.
again
Am
so
I a
you can
hostage?
understand it. Okay.
I can see that.
Okay. If you beat a cop on January 6th, and we do know that there were some people that did do that, and they were convicted, are you a hostage and a patriot? And then I'll get to your Black Lives Matter question. Okay.
Well, I think that we should go case by case, and some people that did that, sure, they
Okay.
should deserve jail time.
Okay, I agree. So, but I didn't ask you if they deserve jail time. Obviously, we agree on that. If it's a Black Lives Matter protest and somebody beats a cop, of course I want them held to the highest extent of the law. Would you characterize someone who beat a cop on January 6th as a hostage or a patriot? I'm asking you, like, this is like the 8th time and you're not answering. No. So you disagree with Donald Trump. So
I don't
would
have
we-
to agree with him on everything.
Okay, great. So,
Unlike you
okay,
just follow whatever
so-
Kamala, the Democratic Party says.
I don't know what you're talking about.
What do you
What
talk about?
Wait, hold on a second. Do you realize that I put out a video last week that went viral?
I don't follow you,
okay,
sir. I don't
good.
have Facebook.
Clearly,
I
you
know.
don't follow politics
My
either.
bad.
But let me just
Yeah,
explain
okay,
to you
but
what I did.
You literally sat here and
You
ranted
think
to him
I'm a
about.
cultist?
You sat here. You ranted to him about Donald Trump's experiences.
That's what the prompt is. That's what we're talking
women.
about.
Why don't we talk about that?
We're talking about being morally bankrupt. I
Yes.
just asked
So
you
what
about January
what about
6th.
how- what about
Connect
with-
the dots.
What about with the women,
bro?
What about with the women? I know you don't want to.
What
get into
about
that.
with women? Ask
What did
me
he do
specifically?
What did Donald Trump do?
He was found liable for sexual abuse. Okay, that was proven. He's had 30 allegations from women that I believe that are credible, including his ex-wife in court documents in a deposition. He's the guy that's named over 40,000 times in the Epstein files, who Donald Trump and Epstein said were best friends. Let me ask you a question since you want to talk about women. I'm glad you brought that up. Can you give me one logical reason why Donald Trump has treated Ghislaine Maxwell like a VIP? Give me one reason.
He shouldn't have, and also
He shouldn't have.
I mean, while we're on
Morally
the subject,
bankrupt.
While we're
Thank
on
you.
the subject
Thank
of
you.
women, I mean, those teeth look pretty nice. Who'd you extort? Your ex-wife?
Are you a serious person?
What about the order of protection?
Are you not a
I know
serious
you know a lot
person?
about the
All right,
civil.
all right. You're obviously not a serious person. Get him out of here. You're not a serious
about
person.
your court documents.
You're not a
with
serious
your
person.
ex-girlfriend.
You're not a serious
with your
person.
ex-girlfriend. The
Who's
court
my-
documents with your ex-girlfriend.
What ex-girlfriend are you
The
referring
order of
to?
protection that you filed against her?
Wasn't an ex-girlfriend.
For actually going
No.
after your Medicaid
Wasn't an
fraud?
ex-girlfriend.
You asked her for $1,000.
Wasn't an
Okay,
ex-girlfriend.
Who was it then? Who was it then?
I'm happy to
Tell me-
answer that,
then
even though
answer
you're
the
not a
question. Then
serious
answer the
person.
question.
Sure. So, in the last 2 years of my life, I've had people who have threatened my life.
Same.
The person that you are referring to, okay, is somebody that sent me death threats. It was never somebody, let me finish. It was never somebody that I dated. It was never an ex-girlfriend. This person threatened me, threatened my family, was obsessed with me. So because of that, there are no public court documents. Do you know why?
But she gave you money.
Okay. Yeah, do you know why? Do you know anything about this situation?
Well, I mean, I saw the text messages.
Yeah,
between
yeah.
you two.
Those
Cursing
aren't.
at a woman.
Those
Cursing
aren't.
at a woman is not
those
morally
aren't,
okay.
Those aren't
I
court
don't think
documents.
You're the person talking
Okay,
about morally
you
talking
are
to
you
women.
are bringing up something that you know absolutely nothing about. The reason why I had
bringing
to
up
file
something that you
I'm
can't
trying
actually
to
prove beyond a
I'm
reasonable
trying
doubt that
to-
Donald Trump is a sexual abuser.
Okay, so now you're going back to Trump. I'm
Beyond a
trying to
reasonable
hold on a
doubt.
second. You brought up something about
I'm
my
holding.
personal life, okay? And you don't know what you're talking about. The
You have
reason
no
why
idea what you're
the
talking
reason
about
why I
for
had
another
to file
person's personal life.
No,
So that's why I'm here sitting here
excuse
defending
me,
them.
Excuse me. I was never found liable for anything in a court of law. I have never been
But you
in
know
a
the
court of
burden of
law.
proof.
Okay, but I'm answering
In a
your
civil
question.
case, a burden
I'm
of proof in a
answering your
civil-
question about a restraining order that I had to file against
civil
somebody,
case, right?
and apparently you think this is funny. What do you mean civil case? I didn't civilly file a lawsuit against anybody. Do you know the difference between a civil case and what I did, which was file a restraining order
I'm glad
against
you brought
somebody?
that up. I'm actually glad you brought that
what
up.
you just said is a complete lie.
Really?
It's factually inaccurate. And if you can find me any court case and any court document of me breaking any laws or doing anything, please go ahead and let me know. You're not a serious person. You don't know what you're talking about. You're here just to smirk and laugh and make jokes. So get the fuck out of here and let somebody else come
well,
up
you're
here.
saying-
I'm not talking to this guy anymore. Get the
Oh,
fuck out of here.
okay.
Yeah, the fuck out of here. What's up, man?
So,
I'm sorry, what's your name?
Nate.
Nate, nice to meet
So
you.
look, I won't make excuses for a lot of what Trump says. You know, he says a lot of things that probably a lot of people disagree with, and you know, he's a very polarizing president. But my question is he a good president, right? Is he a moral president, and does he preside with morality? And I think that number one, the Make America Healthy Again movement. Just recently, they just reduced 35% of the foods now have been reduced and gotten rid of the toxic dyes in the food, which you know is going to help to improve the health of the next generation. Veterans, for example, more veterans have killed themselves than all of the Afghanistan wars from suicide. It's a big problem. So Trump is now also addressing.
Can I just ask you?
Yeah.
So I do believe that there are some policies where you could say, okay, those policies are helping people. But I also believe two things could be right at the same time. You could agree with some policies that you think are helping the American people, but you could also be a morally bankrupt guy, right? For example, and you tell me if you disagree with this or not, in regards to the war in Iran, right? 175 school children are killed. The first thing he does is blame Iran. And by the way, I don't defend Iran or the Iran government, right? He knew that Tomahawk, or maybe he didn't, which is unbelievably ignorant, but we own Tomahawk missiles, and there are a few other countries in the world that do. What's the first thing he does? He says Iran did it. To this day, he hasn't apologized for that, right? I'm not saying that the Trump administration intentionally tried to kill 175 school children. I don't think they tried to do that on purpose. But when you know you did it, take responsibility for it. And I think that's morally bankrupt. Innocent
Is there
people,
evidence that
yeah,
they did that?
they've already.
I think they made it to
Members of
they
the
made it
Trump
to it, right?
administration have said it was a mistake, but Pete Hegseth has never been on the record yet apologizing or saying it was their fault. Donald Trump has not done that either. I think when you're the president of the United States, it's your responsibility to do that. Yes, we can get into the personal stuff, and I understand what you're saying. Yeah, I'm sure there's some policies that you like that could be helping people. I get that. But I just feel like on a world stage, it's very important to own and take responsibility for mistakes that were made, whether you agree or disagree with the war in Iran. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Again, if it turns out that it was indeed our fault, then he probably.
It was, though. That's my point.
I
And he
just didn't
hasn't-
look into it, so I don't know
I
if
understand.
that's the
What do you
truth.
think about the war, by the way? Do you think it's morally the right
I
thing to
don't
do?
necessarily. I'm not 100% for it, but you know, if it were the case that Iran was close to
Mm-hmm.
developing a nuclear weapon, I don't think that's a risk anybody should be taking.
I mean, I believe that whether you agree or disagree with the president and you're a Republican or a Democrat, having nicknames for people that you disagree with, days after, I think it was the day after Robert Mueller died, he goes on social media, he says, I'm glad he's dead.
Again,
I mean, imagine if Joe
the
Biden or
tweets,
Obama
right.
said
I mean,
something like
again,
that.
I'm not going to try to defend what he said, his tweets.
Do you think he's a moral man?
I think he presides with presidency with morality, and I think that really what matters is his policies and the outcomes for the American people. If we have safer cities, safer streets, healthier children, better healthcare for
I
our
understand
veterans,
that's,
then
I mean, I can't, we're going to talk about policy. I'm happy to do that
Yeah,
with you.
yeah.
But
that's just kind of that's
I'm
really
happy.
the angle that I want to
So
take.
what's
here
your?
with
I understand. So what's your threshold? What does Donald Trump have to do for you to say, man, he's morally bankrupt? I can't support this guy anymore. What does he have to do? Does he have to be on video molesting a child for you to say, geez, I can't support him anymore? This is a guy who literally is protecting pedophiles. Literally, as we speak. Look at Ghislaine Maxwell and look at the way the administration is treating her like a VIP. Even after 5 months ago, with her attorney, she said, I'm not giving up any names unless you give me a full pardon. That's what she said. Did Donald Trump put her back into that prison? No. I asked the last guy the same question. I'll ask you the same question. Can you give me one logical reason why Maxwell's still in a Club Med facility right now?
Yeah, she's got leverage, and she's probably one of the last living people that has information.
So he's probably protecting people, if not himself. Is that a fair characterization?
Or he's trying to get information.
If he was trying to get information, she just said she would not give up names unless she gets a full pardon. Now, maybe you could have used that reasoning a year ago, but you can't use it now. So what is the reason why she's still in a Club Med facility?
Well, like they say, you attract more bees with honey, right, than vinegar. So I just think that there's probably a strategy. She was very heavily involved. And I think that
what would the strategy be if she already said she's not speaking unless she gets a full pardon?
I mean, people changed their mind.
So you think the biggest sex trafficker, arguably in American history, is allowed a dog, allowed guests and people to come in there? She's allowed to use the internet and work out whenever she wants to. You can't be okay with that.
No, I'm definitely not okay with that. I don't know the circumstances of her confinement. If that's the case.
Well, the circumstances have gone up publicly because Democrats have investigated this and they've released that, and that's where I'm getting that information from. And it's not like out of thin air. I understand you might like some of his policies. I would disagree with you on that, and we can get into that a little bit later in the next prompt. But my point is that he's just a really awful human being, and I think if you're a chaotic man who's lived a chaotic life, you're probably going to be a chaotic president, and I think that's what we're seeing right now. And I don't think the man has any morals at all. I think the only person he cares about is himself. He doesn't care about everyday Americans. If he did, he wouldn't have given tax breaks to the top 1%.
Didn't he lose money during his first presidency? Didn't he become less rich?
Do you know that Donald Trump has made more money in the presidency than every single president combined? Every single president combined. He's made more money.
Well, his family's running the Trump brand.
He and his family have made more money off the presidency than all the presidents combined. You could look that up. You look at the crypto scandal that this guy has made billions of dollars for him and his family. We can talk about that. We could talk about the Trump Bibles. We could talk about the Trump paraphernalia. So listen, we can talk about selling Bibles. I don't know if anybody here is a religious person. The guy has Bibles sold in China for $1. He's selling Bibles for $60 a pop. He's made $1.3 million off of the Bibles. What about all the people who bought the Trump phones? Now, eventually they might get the phones, but boy, we're not getting a lot of information on that. He made $60 million off of that. That's what I mean by morally bankrupt. Yeah, he doesn't take his $400,000 a year salary so he can gold plate the White House. But when you've made billions of dollars and Jared Kushner makes $2.1 billion from the Saudis, to me, that's a morally bankrupt president of the United States. And even if I might like or dislike some of his policies, I do believe that the man has no morals.
Did he make money because of the presidency or despite the presidency?
Because of the presidency.
Do you have evidence on that, on the correlation?
So, yeah. I mean, do you think he would have made billions of dollars off of this crypto deal if he wasn't president? Do you think he would have been selling Bibles and he would have made that money off of Bibles, or he would have sold the Trump shoes or the Trump hats, Make America Great Again, or whatever?
When you're a businessman, you find ways to make money.
He wasn't selling any of that stuff before he ran for president.
He would have been doing something else.
I disagree with you.
I mean, that's just speculation.
I mean, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Yep. All right, Joe, nice to meet you. Obviously, I think Donald Trump is a morally bankrupt man and a terrible human being. Where am I wrong?
Well, I would say that it's hard to judge a person completely by their public persona all the time because we don't know what he's going through as a person, as a president. I can't sit here, and honestly, coming on to this debate, 10 Republicans versus a liberal is more of like, let's talk about the Republican policy.
You think I'm a liberal?
Well, that's the way it's set, is like, hey, this Jubilee, 10 Republicans versus liberal. I think that's why we're all here.
Anti-Trump.
Right. And so I think to be able to come here and see the prompts like a day before and be like, it's all like bad mouthing our POTUS. I'm going to try to do this in a respectful litigation way. So it's hard for me as a person to say that, yes, one person is totally morally bankrupt because I don't know him personally. I see what he's trying to do as president. I see that he's done good things.
You need to know somebody personally to make a judgment and say that's a bad person.
Personally, yes.
You have to know. So was Jeffrey Dahmer a good
person?
You didn't know him personally?
I didn't know him personally.
No.
Did he come to Christ at the end? I don't know. I have no idea. So it's not my position to say
hold on.
a person is morally. I'm judging them on their job.
Okay, so I judge people on human beings, how they've lived their life.
How do you know how they live their life?
Well,
if you
because
don't know who
Jeffrey
they
Dahmer
are?
was a convicted murderer.
Okay, fair enough.
Why can't you can't say Jeffrey Dahmer was a bad guy?
I'm not saying he wasn't a bad guy. He killed
Morally
people.
bankrupt. He's a murderer, right?
Okay, so
bad
morally,
dude.
you want me to say morally bankrupt, and this is kind of like you want me to put this in this box. But what I'm trying to say is that as a person to another person, it's hard for anybody to say, I know 100% this person is a morally bankrupt, evil person. That's all
Okay,
I'm saying.
so let's go issue by issue, and you could tell me whether you think it's a morally